Greetings, my name is Professor Ishita Blessed. I'm an assistant professor at IMS Ghaziabad University Courses Campus, and I teach business communication. Today I wanted to just give a brief introduction about what is business communication, because communication is something that is so unique to us as human beings. And especially when we're talking about the business settings, there are some things which we must know about this very topic. So let us move forward and let us take a look at the word itself. The word communication comes from Latin roots, and the first root word that I want to share is called communis, and this word means commonness. The other noun, Latin noun it comes from, is called communicare, and it means to share. Allow me to now share with you a few definitions. Simply stated, communication is a two-way process of exchanging ideas or information. It is the process of passing information and understanding from one person to another. It is the process of imparting ideas and making oneself understood by others. This definition is by Theo Heyman. The other one I would like to read by Louis A. Allen, and it goes like this. Communication is the sum of all things one person does when he wants to create understanding in the mind of another. It is a bridge of meaning. It involves a systematic and continuous process of telling, listening, and understanding. A very simple way of illustrating this would be to just remember the acronym SSWG, which stands for speaking, signaling, writing, and gesturing, which in brief gives you a brief idea of what communication entails. Now, since we're dealing with business communication, we must know some important features and characteristics of communication. Firstly, it is important to know that communication is interactional, or it is a two-way process. It requires at least two people, that is the sender and receiver. You establish rapport between the two, and both of them communicate with each other with explaining the meaning they want to tell. The other feature is appropriateness, which basically means that we have to take into account who it is that we're interacting with. What is the relationship between the sender and the receiver, and what kind of context you are placed in. For example, if you are to meet the Prime Minister of your country, you will not talk to him the way that you would talk to your own brother. And so, based on rank, age, status, you deal with people differently, appropriately. The other feature I'd like to share is about verbal and non-verbal communication. Yes, we are using language, but communication involves far much more. We also make use of symbols, gestures, actions. Our facial expressions are such a rich resource of communicating meaning. Besides this, we also make use of sign language and symbols. Even our eyes, it is called oculesics. And there's so many more examples, but indeed, communication involves both the verbal and non-verbal. The other thing I want to share is the circular flow is a characteristic feature of communication, because communication starts when the sender transmits a message to the receiver, and the process is only completed when the receiver sends the feedback to the sender. This keeps going on in a circular manner. The other thing I'd like to share is that it is goal-oriented. That is, the end result of any communication we undertake is that understanding would be happening. We should be able to refer to the core of basic reference, and we should be able to name the things in real world clearly. Finally, it is a continuous and pervasive process. It is ongoing. Just like the blood flow in our body, communication is that which is always going on. When a child is born, from the very beginning till the day we die, we are still communicating. And so it keeps going on in a continuous and pervasive manner. Let us now move forward and see how in business settings, what exactly is the role of communication? What are the objectives of why we even study a subject like business communication? And these are as follows. Firstly, exchange of information. Our organizations are big institutions, or it could be a small business as well. But we are working as one organization, one team, and that requires everybody to have the correct, accurate information. And it is the most important purpose indeed. The employees should be well informed about the goals, policies, and all the rules which make an institution function smoothly. Therefore, we have the use of telephones, notices, employee handbook, bulletins, emails as well, anything that allows a easier flow of information to happen. Furthermore, issuing of orders and instructions. Every organization or an institution or a business setting involves a hierarchy. There is a senior, a superior, and a subordinate. And the superiors issue orders and instructions to the subordinates so that they are able to perform a certain task properly and well. And so it is extremely important that a superior also makes use of his power in a proper and appropriate manner. Let's move on and also consider education as a result, as a very important objective of business communication. It is because education is something we all need at all times. There is a constant need to upskill ourselves and to understand the world around us and how it is changing. For that, every organization or business organization would require some kind of an understanding, some instruction as to how to navigate the world we're in. Therefore, communication is being used not only for the employees but also for the customers. It is being used also by the government to educate the public about its programs and achievements. Let's move forward to advice and counseling. You see, business settings and work environments can get stressful. There are so many complications that can come without informing you. And so we must be mentally prepared to be counselors to one another and to also be open to receiving counsel and advice from others. It is also going to help us improve our relationships with one another, as it would create an empathetic setting for everyone to be in. Then, persuasion. In the classical art of rhetoric, persuasion was an extremely important aspect of education. In that, the students would be taught how to make use of logic, reasoning, emotions, as well as their own credibility to be able to persuade people. Very important skill in today's world. If you want other people to understand you, pay heed to what you want to say, or even if you want to secure a good business deal, persuasion is an extremely important skill to have, and you need to know how to use that in communication. Finally, suggestions. Any organization should be able to suggest, or the employees working there or the employer should be able to communicate what they would suggest for the betterment of an institution. Therefore, suggestion box can be found in different places in an organization so that people can communicate what they're feeling. These were a few objectives of communication. Now I would like to share with you at what levels communication happens. Let us go forward and take a look at these pictures carefully as well. In the first picture, which is denoting extrapersonal communication, we see this girl with a dog. The dog is wagging its tail as she's patting the head. Now we see that the dog, or even sometimes we communicate with our plants. These are all non-human entities or subhuman entities, but we do communicate with them and they with us. And this is an example of extrapersonal communication. Extra, which means beyond the personal communication. The next one is intrapersonal communication. It happens when we are communicating with ourselves. We are both the sender and receiver of the message. And especially if you are counseling your own self, or if you are dealing with your own emotions, this is what intrapersonal communication is about. Interpersonal communication requires a minimum of two people. We need to communicate with one another to go about our daily lives. And it is not only an option, it is our need to be in such interpersonal communication networks. Moving forward, we are now taking a look at the level of communication at a larger level. Firstly, mass communication. Mediums such as newspaper, magazines, journals, books, audiovisual mediums, internet, all of these are enabling us to reach out to a large number of population in one go. And indeed, with the rise of social media, this has become even more accessible to all of us, and thereby creating so many opportunities. Even if you're running a business, it would be an easy means to get our information conveyed. And then we have organizational communication, which is what business communication primarily deals with. Even under this, we have internal operations, external, and personal. All internal operations would mean that all the employees working within the organization would be interacting one another in professional settings or in a professional manner. And then external operation, which means that people within an organization will be communicating with somebody outside of the organization. It could be government agencies, or it could be other institutions, or it could be individuals as well. And then we have personal communication or personal operation, which deals with, as we are human beings, these are our personal needs to be able to communicate ourselves with our peers, and therefore personal communication comes under this category. It is mostly informal in nature as well. Alright, now we have taken a look at a basic introduction to what is communication. We have taken a look at the features and objectives and the levels of communication. Let us also now have a quick review of what we have studied. So let us identify the 5 features of communication. As you can see, take your time and observe these pictures. The first one stands for verbal and non-verbal communication. This is one feature. The other feature was that communication is goal-oriented. The next one is that communication is in a circular flow. The next indicates that communication is a continuous and pervasive process. And finally, appropriateness is a very important feature of communication. Let us now take a look at the 5 objectives of communication. First one, as you can see, is education. The other, exchange of information, persuasion, advice and counseling, issuing of orders and instructions. Let us now identify the 5 levels of communication. Take your time as you see the pictures. The first being intrapersonal communication, the second being extrapersonal communication, mass communication, organizational communication, and interpersonal communication. With this, I have come to the end of this short session, and I hope that this has benefited you, or has at least given you some kind of an introduction to what you can explore in this field of business communication, how you could make use of these things to enhance your own abilities and go out into this world, make use of the tools that have been naturally given to you, and do well in all that you do. Thank you very much. With this, I sign off.